going on, Jerome's? Happy Tuesday. It's time for another Vikings news dump. He sees you when you're pooping. Oh, also, producer Allie fighting the good fight, doing amazing work on the merchandise. Did I break my chair? No. Amazing stuff in the merchandise. Supersize mug is good to go. Focus. All right, I don't think it's going to focus. He sees you when you're pooping. Purple for the mugs. Holiday season coming up. Stock up on gear. Do that up. So, Vikings. I just love this. Purple persuasion. The Minnesota Vikings are 5-0 and out here just breaking the morale of players and coaches week after week. And it's really true. Danny Dimes, frustrated. Brock Purdy had his moments. CJ Stroud. So Stroud went from congratulating Caleb Williams and telling him it gets better just to like ignoring Sam Darnold. Dubs got busted, and then LaFleur threw a tantrum. It's like you took away your kid's tablet or something. Rogers was bumming, and Robert Salah, just not good. It's not good, man. But that's what Brian Flores' defense does to a man. It's kind of nice, man. Also, you know that things are going well when the nerds are on your side. So Aaron Schatz, where the Vikings rank among the top defenses measured by DVOA through 5 games. So some pretty damn good defenses all up in here. So you got the 2019 Patriots. So this is the year after Flores left, but this is where Stephon Gilmore, won Defensive Player of the Year. Also, you got the Buffalo Bills and the Buddy Ryan Eagles. You got the Niners from 2019. Vikings, 2002 Bucks. It's pretty damn good. Now, what's interesting is that the 85 Bears and the 2000 Ravens, maybe they started off a little bit slow. Although, how are the 2000 Ravens not on here? They had 3 shutouts in the first 5 games. I don't know. But also, it's interesting. So the 85 Bears aren't on this list, but the 84 and 86 Bears are. You can make a good case that the 84 Bears defense was even better. It's kind of crazy. 89 Vikings make an appearance. That season didn't end in heartbreak. Yeah. But the Vikings at 5-0, minus 37% DVOA, which is pretty good. Like, I don't understand the numbers, but I feel like that's good. So there you go. So Vikings are getting things done. And the aforementioned Stephon Gilmore, talking about history. Like, Gilly's been around for a while, and he's played against some greats. And he tweeted this out. Okay, this a list I've picked off: Brady, Peyton, and now Rogers. Right, and it's really kind of cool. Like, even a guy like Gilmore, who's probably like going to be a borderline Hall of Famer. Just remembering your playing days, like when you're a grandpa, talking to your grandkids. Yeah, I picked off Y.A. Tittle back in the day. But Brady, Peyton, and allegedly Rogers are going to remember it as all-time greats. So it's really awesome. Also, it speaks to his staying power because, I mean, if Gilmore wasn't starting caliber, he wouldn't be getting these jobs over and over and over again, even though he's been on 5 teams in 5 years. Like, his services are still highly desired. I'm very happy to have him here with the Vikings. Also, Nudie McLaughlin quote tweeted that, Peyton, bro, you so old. Laughing, crying emoji. It's great. Also, Nudie should be getting some work. I think Caleb Evans should be benched or traded, and McLaughlin should be all up in there, especially on special teams and adding depth at cornerback. But argument for another day. But I just love this team. I love this team, man. Something I also love is if you wagers a couple of jelly beans on the Minnesota Fighting Vikings, you're in good shape. This is from ESPN Bet. In the first few weeks of the NFL season, blah, 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 blah. The column has lauded the 5-0 Vikings ad nauseum. Haven't seen it, but it doesn't make their scorching hot start to the season any less impressive. Minnesota is the NFC's only undefeated team and the only team in the NFL that is undefeated against the spread after covering minus 2.5 against the Jets in London. Vikings in London. So that's certainly been impressive, especially given the gauntlet that the Vikings have had, because they're 1.5 point favorites against the Giants. They were dogs at home against the Niners and the Texans. They were dogs against the Packers. They won outright in all 3, obviously, and then the Jets, covering. It's kind of a good spot. Also, Minnesota entered the season with a preseason win total of 6.5, its lowest since 2014. The Vikings could hit the over, supported by less than 50% of the handle at blah, blah, blah within the next 2 weeks, right? And if you got in early, like, some spots had the Vikings at over under 5.5. That's the amount of disrespect that they got, but it did settle in around 6.5. I think before the season it had pushed to 7.5 in some spots, but or 6.5 was juiced out. But I'm feeling pretty good about that. And it's also, that's something you don't think of. Like, if you place a couple of jelly beans down, you're just like, oh yeah, Bonus. Also bonus is John Grenard. So after the Vikings transition from Danielle Hunter and brought in John Grenard, brought in AVG, Jahadi Ward as well. I mean, there's some questions about the Vikings pass rush, but the Vikings are number 1 in the league in pressures with 72. It's not bad. Number 2 is 54, by the way. Yeah. We'll rag at Sports Illustrated. Only 2 NFL players that have at least 5 pressures in every game this season per PFF, Aiden Hutchinson and John Grenard. So Grenard's second league in pressures with 29. And what's amazing is that Hutchinson's numbers, like a lot of them come from one game, the Buccaneers. Well, all the sacks do essentially. But in terms of consistency, that's something that Grenard has done. And his contract is a bargain. And that quick pressure, whether inside or outside, he just finds ways to get to the quarterback. And that makes life so much easier for everyone else. Because, outside the Texans game, is Grenard closing on all of these sacks? Not necessarily, but guess what? He's moving the quarterback off the spot. He's causing disruption in the passing game and blocking scheme, and he's opening up opportunities for other guys to get home. And one hand washes the other. And you know of a number of edge rushers who all they care about is sacks. They don't play the run. They don't take on blockers when it's one of their other teammates' number is called on the plays, or they have a clearer path to the quarterback. But no one on this defense has an ego. Well, we all have egos, you know what I mean? But everyone is team first. Like, hey, you get this one, I'll get the next one. Everyone all for one, one for all. That's what's great about this defense, man. Also, some adjudication news. Kevin Seifert, ESPN. The arraignment and plea hearing for Vikings wide receiver Jordan Addison, stemming from 2 misdemeanor charges in July for DUI, is now scheduled for December 3rd, according to Superior Court of California online records. Had been scheduled for Monday. And, he obviously wasn't going to make the date today, so we had said that lawyers were probably going to get a rescheduling, and they did just that. And even if he had shown up, barring him pleading guilty, he wasn't going to be suspended this year. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't grasp, because at the NFL, we've gone over this. With alcohol-related traffic incidents, the NFL waits until everything is adjudicated. Now, even if it's pled out, even if there's a diversionary program, you're still going to get the suspension, right? But they do wait until everything is finalized. So this could drag on forever, or not forever. It's hyperbolic, but this, I think that he's not going to get suspended this year. We know that, because the arraignment and plea is just for entering guilty, not guilty, and then they'll schedule the trial. Trial might not even happen until spring, right? So that's obviously way past the end of the season, and this thing could get delayed. He might not even be suspended for 2025. This might drag out to 2026. That's what happened with the Saints/Jets Marcus May a couple years ago, where he had a DUI incident and he didn't get suspended for 2 years. And that's probably what's going to happen for Addison. Well, there are two things. He's not going to be suspended this year. He is going to have a 3-game suspension at some point. So that's what we know. And also with the bye week, can Addison just stay here? I understand personal freedoms and all that stuff, and everyone's on vacation, Cabo on 3, woo. But I don't know, man. Can we just stay at the facility and study the playbook or something? Stay at Kevin O'Connell's house, have a glass of skim milk? I don't know, man. Yeah. Also, something I do know is that the Vikings, a lot of people have been pissed off. Is the Vikings tried to give the game away against the Packers and the Jets, but they didn't. And also, both sides of the ball made plays at the end to secure wins in both games for the Packers and the Jets. And I love it, frankly, because you're not going to win every single game by a blowout, and you got to show heart. You have to show grit. You have to show resiliency in some of these spots, because some days things aren't going to start well. But do you have the intestinal fortitude to grind your way back in? Do you have the mental makeup to ignore bad things that have happened and focus on the now? What can we do this play, this drive, this quarter, etc., right? And I do think that, obviously it's nice to handle the Niners and blow out the Giants and blow out the Texans. It's fantastic, but I actually don't mind the way that the Packers and the Jets game ended. Obviously you'd rather win by 50, but a win is a win is a win. Oh, but what about point differential? Shut up. Shut your face. But Luke Kuechly, HOF, you can make a case that Luke Kuechly was the best modern-day linebacker of the last 20 years or so, including Ray Lewis and stuff. But in terms of playing the run, in terms of leadership, in terms of coverage as well, Luke Kuechly is the best, man. It's a shame he had to retire early. Purple Persuasion, this is from the Kay Adams show. The Vikings can win any type of game per Luke Kuechly. Quote, they can win going away when Sam plays great, and they also win dirty games. That's just a mark of a good football team. It is. It is. And, no. How come no one's talking about, oh, well, the Chiefs haven't won a blowout game yet, even though they just handled the Saints. But every single one of their other wins was by one score. So where's all that talk, right? But the Vikings, they almost blew those large first-half leads. Yeah, but they had the talent to build the leads, didn't they? And like we said, both sides of the ball made plays to close out both the Packers and the Jets game. And, this breeds confidence in you, right? And, just look at the locker room celebrations, all right? Obviously, when you win in a blowout like the Giants and the Texans, like, it's celebration, right? But there's just something about it coming down to the wire and the game is in the balance. It's a near-run thing, and you make the play at the end to secure victory. It doesn't matter what happened. Doesn't matter if you had a lead. Doesn't matter if you're from behind. Like, you're going to be fired up, and like the tone of the locker room is different. And the confidence, it's different because you see this all the time, whether it's, rarely in the NFL because there's so much parity, but college football or high school, a team is just blowing fools out, winning 10 games in a row by like 40 points. All of a sudden they get in a tight game. They don't know what to do. They don't know what to do in the fourth quarter because guess what? Most of the starters are usually sitting, and then the JV or backups are playing. But what happens when you get punched in the mouth? And you cease being the bully? What happens when you get bullied? Right? I think that really does make up, add to the Vikings' character makeup. It does. Also, Harrison Smith. This is great, too. So during the game, Vikings Hall of Fame Harry, with his sack in the second quarter, Harrison Smith became the 7th DB in NFL history with 30-plus interceptions and 20-plus sacks. So he joins Rondé Barber, Leroy Butler, Brian Dawkins, perhaps you heard of him, Rodney Harrison, Larry Wilson, and Charles Woodson. HOF, all over the place. And Harrison Smith should be in the Hall of Fame, but what could keep him out is all of the gatekeepers, the AP voters, voting for all pro teams. Pro Bowls are great, but all pros are what matter. And Harrison has been screwed out of several all pro teams, first and second teams throughout his career, right? And also should have been part of the 2010s all-decade team as well. Didn't get that love. And there was a backlog of really good safeties during this time period, but no factor. Like Harrison Smith, in my opinion, is a Hall of Famer, and it's going to be a fight. He's not going to get on first ballot. I think that this may drag on for years, but Harrison Smith deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Then we'll see what happens at the end of the day. Him capping his career with a Super Bowl win certainly will help. Hashtag safety wins. Yeah. Also, Harrison Smith just getting that free rusher shot on Aon Rogers. Just the last time these two jabronis are going to play, because Rogers probably going to retire at midseason and retreat to a cave to smoke crack. But just getting in. Also, it's starting to become baked good season, and I don't know what it is. Like I'm not really a sweets person. I'm definitely more of a savory person. You know what I mean? But the wife makes this amazing banana bread. So I'm not the baker. She bakes a lot more than I do, but she has something with it. I think is it sour cream? It might be sour cream. So instead of milk to the mix, you add sour cream or Greek yogurt or something like that, or maybe it's a mix of two. I don't know. I don't ask questions. I just shovel banana bread. So you get a good piece of banana bread with some of that Kerry Irish butter, and baby, my darling, can't get enough. Now I know that a lot of people in Midwest do chili and cinnamon rolls, but chili and banana bread come together right now over me. Come on, man. Come on. Also, speaking of which, yeah, Chiefs won, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Hey, remember when Derek Carr was a MVP candidate 3 weeks ago? Awesome times. But Kayvon Saunders, defensive tackle, Western Illinois, former Chief, by the way. All right, so he had a thick six. Well, not six, but he had a big man interception, ran it back, and people were surprised by Kayvon Saunders' speed. He's a combine freak. He was a physical freak, man, and he certainly showed that off. And also afterwards, he got the oxygen, and it was giving Lynval Joseph vibes. It was one of my favorite plays. I had to look it up, and I watched it a couple times. It's just hilarious. Lynval just rumbling, bumbling, stumbling, It's great. I miss Lynval, man. Like, honestly, if Lynval hadn't signed with the Cowboys and reunited with Zimmer, I would say bring him in, babe. Even though Taki Taman is doing well, but, yeah. Anyways, that's it. Vikings news dump on this wonderful Tuesday. You guys are the best. You know what to do. Skol, production value.